Now for more discussion, let me bring in Dr. Ahmad Rakhdi, a senior foreign policy advisor to the Iraqi parliament in Baghdad. Welcome to our program, sir. Now, the Iraqi military has condemned the U.S. airstrikes. How is it likely to respond?
Well, actually, what's happened yesterday, it was one of the sad days for Iraq, because it's also showed that there is no real insights of the Iraqi government about what's happened on the Iraqi land. It was a militia attack on Tajik camp, which hold on the American forces and also the coalition forces. And then the Americans respond on attacking every camp for Hezbollah in Iraq and outside Iraq. And also saying that we're going to attack 55 positions inside Iran also, which belongs also to Hezbollah. It shows you that the Iraqi government, the resigned Iraqi government, the caretaker Iraqi government does not have any solution for something like that. It cannot be stopped. And I think the militia itself, Hezbollah militia, needs to do something like that, needs to actually regain their reputation in front of the Shia community, because it was deteriorated due to the corruption of the Iraqi government. Especially they have their own MPs inside the parliament, and they didn't manage to make any reforms for the Iraqi economy, for the Iraqi political system inside Iraq, and so on. So they need to regain their reputation by attacking the American forces, just to say to the community, to the Shia communities, that we still have a case, we still have an ideology to get rid of the American forces outside Iraq, because they are invaders and we should not keep them longer in Iraq.
However, the U.S. is refusing to comply with that order. So is this latest violence will increase the demand for the U.S. to comply with that order? And how unified is Iraq's parliament on this?
Well, I think the militia, which is backed by Iran, thinking like that, those Americans that in Iraq, the same Americans in the 80s who actually withdrew from Lebanon because there was a suicide bomb for the Marines camp and killed about, I think, 300 persons or something like that. But they didn't manage to know it's different. It's now Trump administration. They want to go further in massive attacks. They want to show Trump wants to show that he's the hero for the Americans, and he's also controlling the whole world. In a way or another, Trump is something different from the others. I don't think the Iranian and also the militia, the leaders of the militia, actually managed to know that, and didn't know actually also something very important, that any attack for the Americans on the American camps and killing Americans, it will help Trump to say, okay, I'm the strongest man in the world. I should control those people who are killing Americans. So the Americans will vote for him, not for Biden, not for anyone from the Democrat. It looks like that. But just what I said before, I think Hezbollah needs to regain the reputation. And the only way that it can regain the reputation to say, I'm still on my ideology, I'm not corrupted, I'm not with those political parties that actually thieves that make lots of deals that serve their own interest in a way or another.
Right.
The opening bell, followed by another plunge in the market and a halt to trading on the New York Stock Exchange. By the end of the day, the Dow down 12.9% and the S&P down 11.9%, the worst percentage drop by both since 1987, and the worst Dow point loss ever, the previous two records set just last week. As the markets were closing in New York, in Washington, President Donald Trump was asked if the country was in a recession.
Well, it may be. We're not thinking in terms of recession. We're thinking in terms of the virus. Once we stop, I think there's a tremendous pent-up demand, both in terms of the stock market and in terms of the economy. And once this goes away, once it goes through and we're done with it, I think you're going to see a tremendous surge.
The trading day was so bad, the president of the New York Stock Exchange had to shoot down rumors that the trading floor might close down, tweeting, closing the markets would not change the underlying causes of the market decline. This would only further compound the current market anxiety. Over the weekend, the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates to nearly zero, hoping it would calm the markets. It did not.
They lowered the rates on Sunday. Market is telling us that they're not that happy with that. If we're lowering it, if we're shooting every bullet out of the chamber, leaving us at zero, is there worse economic news on the horizon than we think?
Investors say they need three things to happen for the market to bounce back: a slowdown of coronavirus cases in the U.S., an announcement about a vaccine, and a sign that things are returning back to normal on the streets. Unfortunately, none of those things appear to be happening anytime soon. As one Wall Street analyst put it, we're watching the slow shutdown of the entire U.S. economy.
In Colombia's third city,
Al
Cali,
Jazeera.
a fight is raging against dengue fever. A woman died in the neighborhood after developing the mosquito-borne disease. One of 11 presumed dengue-related deaths last month, so the city is fumigating home by home.
It's a delicate matter. We need to be extremely careful with even the smallest pool of water. I change the water of the plants every day. Not everybody does it, and it's dangerous.
Fumigations are just one of many emergency measures to confront the epidemic in the city, where cases have soared from 118 in January to more than 5,000. The Aedes aegypti mosquito that infects people with the virus lay eggs in any pool of clean water. Poor sanitation, bad hygiene, and climate change, with both heavy rains and long periods of droughts, are all making the outbreak worse.
Climate change has no doubt facilitated the breeding grounds. These mosquitoes are endemic here, but they are finding the best conditions to grow, and the genotype seems to be more aggressive.
Dengue has been spreading throughout Latin America in the past year. 1,300 people have died since. Hospitals across the continent are struggling to keep up with the number of new patients. More than 3 million cases have been reported in 2019. That's 6 times higher than the previous year and an all-time high. And the trend seems to be continuing in 2020. The disease has now become one of the main reasons for hospitalizations throughout Latin America.
Los casos de dengue en el último trimestre se han triplicado.
In the last 3 months, the numbers have tripled, from maybe 15, 20 per week to 50 or 70. We need to do more to stop the spread.
One method that's been helping is breeding guppy fish that eat mosquito larvae in fountains and similar places.
We are getting results, but the worry now is that people will lower the guard because the attention is on this new coronavirus. And we cannot make the mistake of forgetting dengue that can kill us if we don't keep up with it.
A fight against time to get this outbreak under control before another one arrives. Alessandro Ampietti, Al Jazeera, Cali.
At least 20 people have been injured in a car bomb that exploded in front of a government building. This is in southern Thailand. It happened in the city of Yala, where officials were holding a meeting to discuss the spread of coronavirus. Wayne Hay with us now from Bangkok on Skype. Wayne, take us through what you know.
Yes, well, as you mentioned, this took place in Yala province in the morning. This is one of the 3 southernmost provinces of Thailand bordering Malaysia. And in those 3 southern provinces, there is an armed Muslim separatist group operating, or several groups operating. They are fighting for independence or greater autonomy from Thailand and have been doing so for years. Thailand is, of course, a predominantly Buddhist country. So these groups regularly stage attacks in the 3 southernmost provinces. They are usually relatively small in nature, usually gun attacks, small bomb attacks, targeting security forces, government buildings, as was the case just a few hours ago, and also anyone that is seen to be sympathetic to the government in Bangkok. As I say, there are several groups operating in southern Thailand, but there really is, in recent years anyway, one main group that is believed to be behind much of the violence. That is BRN, Barisan Revolusi Nasional, or the National Revolutionary Front. We believe that it's highly likely that the BRN was behind this bomb attack outside a government building where there were several local government leaders meeting with military officials as well, as you say, talking about coronavirus and how best to tackle this situation in southern Thailand. What makes this attack particularly interesting is one of the bombs, there were two bombs outside that building. One of them was a car bomb, which does happen in southern Thailand, but they are relatively rare. The second thing is that we seem to have entered a new round of peace talks. Beginning in January, the Thai government met with leaders of the separatist groups in Kuala Lumpur. They've had 2 meetings so far this year. What makes those meetings interesting is that BRN, again, the group to be believed to be behind most of the violence in southern Thailand, was present at the table. In the past, in recent peace talks, we haven't seen the key leadership of BRN taking part in those peace talks. So there was real hope that perhaps we were heading down a new path towards some sort of sustainable peace. So it seems perhaps if this was BRN, perhaps they are sending a message that they are not happy so far with any progress that has or hasn't been made out of those 2 rounds of peace talks.
Thank you for that update, Wayne Hay in Bangkok.